There are two very big signals for Tesla investors to be aware of. First, we just found out Tesla's hiring a new role that shows they're about to remove the safety monitors in their Austin robotaxis. They've opened hiring for rapid response field operators. We'll tell you what this means, but they wouldn't need this if they still had a Tesla employee in the vehicle. Second, the Q3 production and delivery numbers showed that Tesla purposely lowered inventory. This is a good sign that the more affordable vehicles are going to be launched sooner than later. We've got the bulls here with us today. We got Tesla boomer mama, the queen, Alexandra Mertz, the power bull. We got Jeff Watts, Mr. Incredible, the rational bull, and Matt Smith, the financial bull. Welcome, everybody.
What's up, Herbert?
Thanks, Herbert.
Hi, Herbert.
So this new job opening, this new job opening that just appeared here, we're going to talk about this possibly no safety monitors. Tesla Yoda pointed this out. Tesla hiring rapid response field operators in Austin to support ride-hailing service. Let's take a look at what the job says. First of all, the location is Austin. Rapid response field operator. We're seeking highly reliable, quick thinking individuals to join the rapid response team for the ride-hailing service. Okay, 24-hour, 24/7 vehicle operations. So the responsibilities serve as immediate responder to on-road incidents involving our autonomous vehicles, ensuring rider safety and support, assisting law enforcement, conducting basic roadside repairs, supporting vehicle recovery operations. So when you read this, it sounds like, okay, something happens to the autonomous vehicle, the robotaxi. This team sends this person out. They get right to the, wherever the car is in the street, and then they help out, whether it's assisting the riders, communicating to law enforcement, logging all actions. So is it fair to say that if they're hiring this role, that means that there won't be a Tesla employee in the car? What's your reaction, Alexandra? The company and the product. I don't look at the quarterly stock movement.
A very realistic bull, questioning certain decisions.
The rational bull. I enjoy listening to bears.
We're looking for the red flags. You're supposed to react.
It's just worth reminding people how big this upside opportunity is.
First of all, I don't agree with you that they actually go on site. I think they will, from distance, from wherever they're sitting, try to coordinate different people, emergency, law enforcement, whatever else it has to be. I don't think it's them going there. What I found surprising is that they should be able to perform basic repairs, but who knows what that means. That's just, software. You see, perform basic vehicle service, ensuring vehicles are returned to operational status. Could be just rebooting, could be just, those things. I don't think it's really, but you see, it says when remote recovery fails, So I think they will stay in the office and monitor the cars. I think this is a great sign. I mean, obviously starts with Austin. I expect this to come to all the other cities where we see currently advancements. So we should, monitor when the next one comes out in San Francisco, LA, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Brooklyn, Chicago. I think that's the current map. And I think that's a very good advancement. And I mean, I know we've had this discussion last week. I know for you, it's important that the safety monitor or whoever else you call it in the car goes away. I'm not impatient for that, but this will replace it. Of course, this will be the next step.
Okay. I think most of us, I guess, will ask the other two here, but I think it is somebody that physically goes to on-site, conducting basic roadside repairs, responder to on-road incidents. What do you think, Jeff?
It's fine. I mean, to me, this is making the sausage of launching a ride-hailing networks. Tesla's given us a forecast. Elon has given us a forecast for when he thinks the safety riders could be removed. Some of it is related to local jurisdiction. Some of it's related to capability of the system. Some of it's related to probability of an incident. So I think Tesla's converging on all these vectors, and you got to post these requisitions to hire these people. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the safety riders don't convert to being some of these people. So I think they kind of have a good training ground of get the best safety riders potentially into these roles. These look like these could be a little bit more of a meteor role. But yeah, I just view this as, I'm not surprised. We know the system is going to improve. We know FSD 14 is coming. We know it's a more capable model with more capability at the actual car level with 10x increase in parameter counts. So we know all this is happening. It's literally right in front of us. We know the linear and beyond linear improvement that's occurring with compute capacity being added. So this is, to me, all alpha for investors who are close to the name. If you want to go the black magic route of, they're safety riders because it's never going to work, or, I mean, that's fine. But there's a clear progression that's happening. And if you've been able to baseline the system and use the system for a couple of years, you would see and understand that baseline and where it was and how it's improving up to this point. It doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect and on time, but what it does mean is it is meaningfully progressing, meaningfully improving, and these requisitions being posted is just part of the process. Whether they go on site or whether they're remote, it's probably some combination of that. But regardless, to me, this is just another, I'm not surprised. This is another step in the progression. And I wouldn't be surprised if they sourced a lot of these people from the safety rider population, but you still got to post a requisition. It's a new role.
Yeah. And then just another signal here says rapid response team, but this is the field operator. That's part of the rapid response team. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I agree with what Jeff said. I am excited for the safety monitors to be removed. We spoke about this, I think, last time I was on, about how it doesn't really change, whether the safety monitors come out in, October or November or in February. Like, at the end of the day, we know Tesla's going to get there where you don't have those safety monitors, and then they'll scale up. So this is all just like, what does that S curve look like of, getting the fleet size from like literally a dozen now to hundreds, and then thousands, and then tens of thousands, and then millions. So I'm very excited that we seem to be at this step where we can go beyond dozens to probably hundreds, at least in Austin. I mean, if you have these rapid response operators that are actually going to be remote, and presumably they can be overseeing 10, 15, 20 vehicles, because more often than not, you're not going to have any issues. So your kind of cost per vehicle and like the number of vehicles that one of these employees is actually monitoring is going to significantly increase. And that's it's just exciting to see that progression. But like Jeff said, it's not particularly surprising. The one thing it does make me even more optimistic about, though, is V14. We've been kind of speculating about whether V14 is actually going to be good enough to get those safety monitors out. Elon importantly said that 14.2 at least will feel like almost sentient. And if that's actually true, it would seem to me that you probably wouldn't need the safety monitors. And this is not proof of that for sure, but it seems to be that the timelines are overlapping where, 14, at least 14.2 will be hopefully good enough to start pulling some of those safety monitors out.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like, I think last time we spoke, most of us said January would be when we would expect or guess that the safety monitor will be removed. Given the FSD version 14, give it several months to test and so forth. Hiring of these people actually makes me feel like it might come sooner than later. That's where I'm at, and I think that I'm going to move up my time frame of one day might do this. The app is getting improved, and I'm going to show you what they've done with the app and the Robotaxi service. Elon has been reposting. Sawyer Merritt is currently in Austin. He's been testing the app, and he posted this. He took the Tesla Robotaxi ride in Austin. He took 2 rides. Elon reposted this one. 3 miles, 12 minutes, $3.96, which is just $1.32 per mile. This one was $1.27 per mile. No issues during the rides. Elon reposted that. Then he showed that the app itself has changed and gotten better. You can now select options of where you want to be picked up, and you can choose that. That's something new. But just the rapid iteration that Tesla is able to do for the app and the service, they're moving fast. They just launched it in June, and here we are with just multiple improvements and features. What do you guys think about these features? And Elon reposted that one as well. So he's pretty happy that we're sharing that info.
I don't think it didn't occur to me that would be a surprise. Again, the bigger challenge is obviously getting the performance of the system down. Tesla's ability to create an app and to improve the performance of that. Of course, there would be work need to be done to be field testing, but that doesn't surprise me. The pricing piece of it is what I think people should be keeping an eye on, and just understanding how that trends and where it goes. And are they going to build in a framework around demand and supply-based pricing? So that'll be interesting to watch. But if it's consistently less expensive than other options, I think that is probably the highest order bit in the whole commentary there.
Anybody else? Comments?
I still don't have the app. They may be able to build iOS apps, but they can't build Android apps.
No, apparently there was code found that's indicating that Robotaxi Android version is coming soon.
Oh, okay. Well, then I will tell you what I think about the beautiful app. The big, beautiful app.
Once you see that.
I don't have it. I have iOS and Android. I don't have the app at all.
I don't have it on your...
Well, you can ask for it. You'll get it.
I got the app, just not permission to use it.
Can't anybody download it on an Apple phone now?
Yeah.
No. Really?
Why does Jeff not?
No, you can I have the app. It's not. You're not activated as. I don't know.
It's in peasant mode.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in peasant mode. Oh, I'm not a peasant, so that's why I don't have it yet. So Herbert had it first. I understand more now.
I was lucky. Thank you, guys. Yeah, that was fun. We will follow this some more. Let's talk FSD version 14. I think that's a good segue to that. We are expecting FSD version 14 to drop. Some people think it's going to happen this week because Elon said so last week. Others are saying, yeah, it's going to happen in 2 weeks or so forth. I think most of us do agree, right? That we think that maybe a couple people will get it, like, AI Driver, Chuck Cook, maybe Omar, somebody like that, like a few. By the way, do you guys think that these robotaxis, I'll play Sawyer's clip here of him driving, using the Robotaxi app in Austin. And I asked him, is this version 14? And I mean, his answer to just in general to everyone was it felt very similar to June and maybe a bit smoother, but nothing obvious to him. Would they be testing FSD version 14 now? There are two kind of debates on this. Some people say yes, that they would be testing it now, especially if you've got in California where you have ride hail, somebody in the driver's seat. And others say, no, I think you will test this first with us. We would test it first before they would then introduce it into, the Austin, which I can't believe that because Austin was always 6 months ahead.
There are two different release lines currently, and at some point they could merge. And I'm sure there could be elements of that in robotaxis now. It's actually a somewhat of a controlled environment in one way. So yeah, I don't know. It could go either way. They're just two release lines. At some point, they could converge, or maybe they stay separate. But I think there's a lot of value in that they do most things very similarly to converge these release lines sooner than later.
Yeah, I agree with you. That was about what I was going to say. I don't think they're completely the same at the moment because obviously running a robotaxi is a different type of software. Remember when we had that person who got the delivery at his home and then they updated it because that was on a higher version of FSD and then he got backgraded or downgraded to what we all have currently. The second thing is you said some people believe it will be first the early adopters. That's not some people say. That's Elon who said it. Elon said we'll first go out to some early adopters and then 2-3 weeks later it will be more generalized. So I think in terms of expectations of the timeline, we'll probably see in a couple of days these early adopters get it once they finish the last testing. And I think Jeff has warned us all often enough, and he's completely right. This is a new set. This is version 14. So it may not be straight away that it feels like an upgrade of the current 13, right? Because the 13 has come so far, and they seem to want to give it a new number. So there must be something new about it. And so it may initially feel a little bit choppy until it gets rolled out. And so that could be a week, that could be 2 weeks, or it could even be a month. I don't, I'm always puzzled when I go into these cyberbulk meetings, because Herbert is so after dates and numbers, and then he can nail us down and how wrong we are. And so I'm trying to give less and less of those.
Yeah, no, not that. My goal is to ask the questions that I hear everyone is asking, general Tesla investors. So that's what I think they're interested in. But you're right, that's a good answer. That it doesn't matter which month and so forth. But because we're different kinds of investors, right? We are long-term investors, and so for us, as long as we see the signals and it's moving fine, it'd be nice if it came out sooner. But it's not that big of a deal versus others who are like timing it. I've got an option that's got to, mature within a month or two. And then that's why they're really afraid, right? Okay, so that's 14. What you're thinking, Matt, on the FSC version 14? You started saying something about that just about earlier in your intro.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, Alexandra, I think, just doesn't want accountability with her predictions. And so that's why she's, putting up all these defenses. But you're just shaming me with the dignified, not even a response. So I do think it's going to be pretty noticeable. I mean, I think when we all had version 13 for the first time, it was an immediate this is something different. That's my expectation with version 14. I mean, they've been working on this for so long. It was going to be a 2x parameter increase, then 3, now 10. All the stuff that they've been working on for a long time. I do agree that it won't be perfect, but I would be very surprised if we are not able to actually notice a difference, on our initial rides. So that said, in terms of timing, I'm trying to also get a little bit less stressed out about is it coming this weekend, and checking my app for updates. I used to get a little crazy with doing that, but I'm just kind of the mindset now that if I get it before month end, I'll be happy. And I think that probably will happen. So my best guess would be, in a couple of weeks, us regular owners will get it. And I do agree that it'll probably be, just kind of like the OG beta testers, sort of that would be that initial group.
Yeah. Okay. Rapid response field operators being hired. It's a good signal. It means that there's been no necessarily a delay. We don't know when things will happen, but at least it's another way to think about it that says, okay, they wouldn't be hiring these people if there was going to be a year off or something like that. So things seem to be moving forward. Any other comments about robotaxi expansion? Some of us are now noticing that maybe every 2 weeks there might be an expansion. Dallas, we saw them, cars already testing out Dallas. And so you can easily not easily, but the next thing could be an announcement that Austin geofence is expanded again. And then maybe Phoenix, another area, prior to the annual shareholder meeting. Alexandra, do you think that there is a value for Tesla to show real progress and try to, excite the investors prior to the annual shareholder meeting? Does that help with more votes?
Sure. I mean, first thing I want to clarify is there's still a couple of people out there who think, oh my God, the stock is going up and Elon's stock price is going to be locked in at the shareholder meeting. That's completely wrong. Elon's stock price for the options for the coming 10 years, we'll see how long it takes, is 334.09, which was locked in beginning of September. Okay, so that there's no reason for anybody to, feel there is a game on the stock because of Elon's option base price. So I want to put that out of the story. The second thing is, I do believe they feel that they want to give us maximum pleasure when we come to to Austin, right? Mm-hmm. And calling a robotaxi maybe even at the airport, in town, driving to the Tesla shareholder meeting. I think it starts at 11 o'clock in the morning. Via robotaxi. I mean, all that would be crazy. And I was actually thinking about that, Jeff, because you've been with me in the car last year when you drive there, I remember there was this huge traffic jam when you get close to. So how would if they're all robotaxis, we're all sitting in our robotaxis, and they all have to queue to get through security? That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, let's have a drop off or something occurring. Yeah.
Yeah.
They hopefully have mapped that just like they would in an airport. But that brings up the point. Our friend Tessa Yoda said that when rapid response field operators are hired now, it could be that by November 8th to November 6th, the actual shareholder meeting, they want to have driverless robotaxis available. Imagine when we do a live stream, just like we did the first time in June, we go there and we do a live stream of a driverless robotaxi.
Driving to the shareholder meeting. It would be fabulous, right?
Yeah.
It would be
So
fabulous because
there's that theory.
It would show that is, the future is happening already.
Yeah. So my question to you was, if they did that, like if they accomplish this, a driverless robotaxi just prior to November 6th, does that increase the chance of success in these proposals being voted on?
Oh, no. I think I'm prudently optimistic that we're actually already there. I've said this now multiple times, but I want to state this again. This year is much easier than all prior years because we're in Texas and Elon can vote. So every question already has 14.5% in the right direction, thanks to Elon. Okay. Then retail, I did another poll this morning, and I know this is just my followers who may be more motivated than anybody else because you have to be motivated to follow me. That's true. That's true, Herbert. You got a point there. Mm-hmm. But 70 to 75% of people seem to have voted with all their accounts, right? Even people overseas. And yes, we're still seeing issues overseas, but let's just say this is really indicative of retail. I think we can say about 25% of all shares are now voted, plus the 14.5 from Elon. So we're close to 40%, okay? And I don't know how they all voted, but it sounds at the moment there's not much opposition. And then we know already that ARK and Barron funds are going to be pro-Elon, right? Mm-hmm. So I think we're very, very, very close already to these 50% plus one vote that we need. We don't need gimmicks on November the 6th to get us over the line. And anyway, institutionals will vote on November the 5th. So they won't see our videos in the robotaxis. Institutions vote on the last day because they feel it's their duty to wait until the last moment and have seen everything and heard everything. And so we will not, Tesla, who can monitor the votes on a minute-by-minute basis, they know exactly where they stand. These proxy vote websites and all that, they sell their services very expensively to these corporations to keep them informed. So there are two things I see. First of all, Elon is not posting a lot about voting. Last year, at the same moment in time, he was every day on it, and there were lots of SEC filings because he was so involved. There's still some SEC filings, and he got involved into a couple that don't allow voting yet, whatever. But it's on the margin. He's much more involved in politics and Tesla overall and whatever. So I don't think. I think Elon's behavior is a good indicator how confident he is that these votes go through. And the second thing is that Tesla itself made so much effort. I mean, they're advertising on all social media, and they're available for mostly all the press if they want interviews and whatever. They've done so early so much effort that I think there are only few retail investors out there who don't know that they need to vote and are going for it.
Great analysis. Good insights. Okay. I like that. Let's move on. Yeah. Ready for the next segment, guys? Yeah. Another signal. Another signal possibly here. I did a show with a live stream with Jeff this morning. When we publish this, it'll be the day later. So we had the production delivery numbers dropped by Tesla, 497,000 deliveries, 447 production. That 47 number is 12% higher than the Wall Street consensus. And what was interesting was that the deliveries was higher than the production. And then, Jeff, can you just repeat a little bit of what you were saying this morning about how it looks like that Tesla intentionally drew down the inventory so they have less cars. And then some people think, well, maybe they're doing that because it's because they may be planning for the more affordable vehicle, that's one reason that they might be doing that. Is there some truth to that logic?
I mean, I said that this morning. I think that's why one of the reasons to do that. So first off, Tesla is very good at inventory management. They're always pretty much far out ahead of others. That's great for cash. That's great for quality. That's great for a number of different things. So they're very good at it. It's a very good supply chain. It's a very good structure and setup. That's a top-down thing too, that you have to manage from your sales network all the way through your supply chain. So this 50,000 unit drawdown, so there was deliveries were 50,000 units higher than what was produced inside of the 90-day window. All that means is they drew down inventory, rather significantly. It's probably the lowest inventory in a couple of years for people to understand. So one, that'll drive up free cash in the quarter. And it's also a good thing economically in terms of looking ahead. So if you're like every other analyst out there and saying like, this is the cliff, this is the end, $7,500 in the US means Tesla sells no more cars anymore. Well, being in a low inventory position is a very good thing at that point. But I believe they're in this very low inventory position. Number one, they're just good at managing this. But number two is you would want to clear inventory of vehicles that are in a similar, slightly higher price range and not have them as overhang in inventory, because their aging in inventory would increase if something is out there that's pretty good at a meaningfully lower price. And all of a sudden, those things will just sit in inventory and age. So the best thing to do is clean it out, get the pricing very crisp, very clear of these vehicles are at this level for this reason and these features. And if they are releasing a lower cost vehicle here soon, these vehicles are at this cost for this specific reason. Make sure it's crystal clear to the channel of what you're doing and why you're doing it, and you won't have a bunch of inventory problems. And you're going to be focusing, and probably since these are similar lines, if not the same lines as the 3 and Y, you're going to be building that new inventory out for ramp, which you're going to actually elongate the delivery of any existing 3s or Ys that are probably freshly ordered. So there's a number of reasons to do this. Typically, you clear inventory when you're doing an adjacent product launch as such. So I hope that's what's happening. We'll see.
Wow, that's great insight. Few people know this. Jeff, does that mean, are you going to be, coy about not making a date prediction? Could that not mean that more affordable vehicles will come sooner than later?
You're trying to nail me down to a date, Herbert? Is this some trend that's forming, Matt? Yeah. What do you think is happening
here? But you won't do it, so that's
Am I
okay.
being overly defensive?
That's why I said sooner than later.
You're like Teflon. Can't get you down.
It's gonna launch on October tonight. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, sure. I think it's imminent, but I don't know anything. I mean, we'll see what happens. But Tesla said for the last 5 quarters in their earnings announcements, they said they're working on newer vehicles. Some of them would be more affordable. We haven't seen that yet. So this should be them.
Yeah, this is the actual statement. Sorry, Matt. We continue to expand our vehicle offering, including first builds of a more affordable model in June, with volume production planned for the second half of 2025. Additionally, we continue development of Semi and Cybercab, both slated for volume production 2026.
Oh, there's 2 more things. So first off, they're ready to build. I think from a design perspective, they're ready to build. I think they've ramped the supply base. I also think this time gave them some time to deal with tariff issues, coding of parts and how to deal with them and to optimize that. So I think this additional time actually helped them. This would be the last vehicle that you would want to press the pedal down and bring a bunch of parts in on a rush, on an expedite, because they would cost meaningfully more, and maybe you're dealing with tighter margins in the beginning. So I think they're ready is the point. I think they purposely delayed it, and I think they'll ramp it pretty cleanly in the quarter. But we'll see. We could all be wrong. This could be something completely different.
Yeah, the only point I was going to add is at least here in the US, we're literally on day 2 of the $7,500 tax credit being expired. So I think there probably is some useful information that Tesla can glean from, okay, what is demand rate actually looking like after we've kind of cleared out some of that demand pull ahead. And they might need to readjust pricing on some of the existing models potentially. Maybe not, but I'm thinking it might be helpful for them to get a week, 2 weeks worth of data on new order rate post, $7,500 tax credit, so that they can then just have a much more informed decision about how to price the new lower cost vehicle and what, if any, changes might be needed for the existing vehicle lineup.
Good point. Matt, you saw the numbers. Is this, I did see, I saw your posts on X. You look like you were very close on both energy and production. Now, did you do that before the actual
No,
drawing?
I actually, you can check the timestamps. I posted it this morning. Admittedly, my vehicle
guess.
numbers at least were a bit of a guess. The energy piece is a bit more in my wheelhouse. I don't have any super complicated methodology to do it, but I will say, I was seeing some people call for 15 gigawatt hours and that sort of thing, or 14. To me, that always just seemed really optimistic, because even though you do have Shanghai ramping and that is going to become meaningful over time, it's not even close to full capacity yet. And then you still have the lag for when those actually get deployed out in the field and revenue recognition for that.
Yeah.
So in my mind, 12 was like a reasonable guess on where we'd be, and so 12 and a half was mildly better than where I was.
Very close. And then on production, you said deliveries, you said 492, and we were at 497. So you hit that right. So now that you see the numbers, Matt, does that change your forecast, your spreadsheets that you follow so closely?
Yeah, a little bit. So I'm made some modest changes to to my earnings model for both the gigawatt hours and the actual deliveries, just like I do every quarter. So it was a modest benefit. I don't remember offhand. It was something like 4 or 5 cents, I think, positive. So it went from I think a week ago when I was estimating some numbers, I had them at just over 50 cents, and I think now I'm closer to like 61. I'd have to go and check my model. So that's nice performance, but I think at this point, what Q3 earnings per share looks like, or what free cash flow is, or what's the adjusted EBITDA, like that stuff. Sure, I'll track it, but it's not the real story of why any of us are invested in Tesla. So I don't think necessarily we're going to have some huge earnings rally because we got an extra 5 cents based on higher deployments or anything like that. I think what's going to be potentially a lot more impactful is kind of tone around FSD, Robotaxi expansion, any kind of details they give us on that. And newer vehicles. So I do track it, but admittedly, I think it's becoming less relevant, at least on these shorter time frames. What becomes a lot more relevant is, when do they get to 10,000, 100,000 robotaxis? That really does matter.
When might we expect that then one day they're going to do this production delivery drop and say, this is what happened in the last quarter? When might they include something about robotaxi, like rides given or rides taken or something like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I suspect not in the next year. Maybe they will start introducing it, I don't know, at some point early next year. But my baseline would be, all right, you're going to be operating not a whole lot of these for the next. I think honestly, like the next 12 months, it's not going to be a big driver of earnings or anything like that. So typically Tesla doesn't like to disclose information before it really becomes impactful. Maybe the one exception to that would be, they started, actually no, because when they shared the gigawatt hours deployed, that was Q2 of last year, and that was a big surprise to everybody. So typically they don't like to disclose anything unless it's like a bit of a mic drop moment. They never share anything about like FSD take rate or sales or anything like that. So I suspect once they've got some like actually surprising and good news to share, that's when it'll be. And my suspicion is that won't be soon.
Yeah,
Can we do something, Herbert, regarding the earnings call? Can we talk about that? Or
of course, yeah, that's what we're doing. I've got a couple more things to ask though, but go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I think it's important in this context. So earnings are coming up, and one of the things we do well on this show is put common sense filter over things, just to understand like how do we think it's going to go? Well, how do you think it's going to go? It's going to be 2 weeks before his vote, before Elon's vote. Do we think he's going to get up in the earnings call and be not bullish? Do we think that, or are we going to see more of the bullish side? I would have to bet that we would see more of the bullish side. It doesn't mean that there aren't challenges in the business. He said the next couple of quarters could be rocky from a vehicle, perspective as we go through this transition, especially in North America. But in general, these calls tend to sway one direction or another. And I can't imagine, with all the progress in Robotaxi, with FSD 14 probably being out by the time of this call, by a record quarter in in deliveries, a record quarter in energy, I would have to think that they would be leaning more positive for this call. And again, with the biggest emphasis being the shareholder meeting being 2 weeks after it. Any
would the guidance be positive as well, though? I mean, obviously the
Yes.
past Q3 is fantastic, but the guidance.
Well, Tesla doesn't give formal, they give ad hoc guidance, I would say, at a minimum. So yeah, I think looking ahead, I think he's going to focus more on the growth of the businesses that they're focusing on and not counting vehicles. And I think they're going to change their model of selling vehicles once the service is stabilized. They will change their model of selling vehicles. So anyway, I think it's interesting. We're 3 weeks out from the earnings call and how that could play out.
And I actually think there are lots of things happening between now and 3 weeks. I do believe, we obviously have the start of the performance because as of yesterday, Wednesday, people can order it. I do believe we'll see the affordable. I hoped we would see it before the 1st of October, but I do believe it's imminent in the next couple of days. We'll have on October 15th the hearing in the appeals court of Delaware. I just want to recall a second why that is important. If we lose the appeal and the vote of this proxy go the way I think they will go, we will, of course, remunerate Elon on the same basis than we voted for in 2018, but it will cost us $60 billion more. Okay, so this is a $60 billion hearing. Now, is it a catastrophe for a I don't know how many trillion company to spend another 60 billion? Of course it's not. And is this a cash payment? No, it's not. It's not as if our 39 billion cash are going to be used for these 60 billion. It's an accounting. Obviously it will exist, but it will exist on paper as a loss. So it's an important hearing, but it's not important anymore to the point whether Elon is going to be paid or not if this proxy vote goes through the way we want it. But anyway, so I just think we should all, spend a little bit of time listening to it. On the 15th, it's going to be live streamed, and we should, understand what's in there, how partial we feel Delaware Supreme Court is. Is it as bad as the Chancery Court or not? I think it's going to be interesting. So I do believe there's stuff happening. Obviously, Elon will say less and less because we're getting into the quiet period on all of the financials. But then the earnings call on the 22nd is going to be phenomenal because I do believe the say questions will get better and better because people are so much more into it now, and there is so much more hope for the stock now. And obviously, we know the details of the proxy. So I do believe there are going to be some very good investor questions. I don't count really on the analysts, but that's another question. So the next 3 weeks, because this is all happening in this window of 3 weeks, are going to be really exciting.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, we should the FSD version 14 drop, maybe the more affordable model. So October 15th, can you just clarify that is a hearing? Will we actually know the results of the appeal then?
No, the results will come a couple of weeks or months later. Nobody knows. Okay. There's no fixed deadline. Yeah. And there are actually people who think it may be quite late. I tell you why. This is important. This is, in the end, more important to the state of Delaware than it is to us. Mm-hmm. Why? Because so many corporations are in Delaware incorporated. And lots of big corporations, including Meta and lots of others, have started to think about leaving Delaware. And I do believe if Tesla loses this appeal, many more will leave. But nobody really wants to leave. Leaving a state is a headache. Costs a lot of money. You have to inform your shareholders. Nobody else has shareholders like Tesla, where we're also mobilized and then voted. But because remember how tight it was to get to Texas last year, right? And this type of vote has to happen for any company that wants to move out of Delaware. So Delaware, I think, will delay the publication of the verdict until a certain point. So what's this certain point? All, or nearly all, let's say nearly all big US corporations have their proxies and shareholder meetings in the first 6 months of the year, usually in April, May. Why? Because then in February, March, they publish the proxy, and then they get into voting, and then they organize the proxy, and off it is. So once this proxy is written, meaning shareholder proposals have to be brought in, let's say by end of January, nothing changes until the vote is over, and then until next year, right? So if Delaware publishes the verdict end of this year or in January, I think the emotion will be very high that lots of shareholder proposals to all these companies will be, oh, let's get out of Delaware. Please, let's vote on that. Please, let's vote on that. And they want to avoid that. So I think they will try to avoid the publication of this verdict, if it is negative for Tesla, until at least March, April, because then all these proxies are out and they hope that they've won another year, and maybe people will calm down. Because I do believe if Tesla loses, it's going to be a real riot for getting out of Delaware. But it's a real pain to organize in money, in effort, and in mobilizing your shareholder base. I mean, if and it's going to get very political, because lots of companies, let's for example look at, I don't know whether GM is organized in Delaware, but if it is, 85% of GM stockholders are institutional. So you have to make sure these institutionals all vote with you, right? And then even worse, if you have a stock like ours, where you have a lot of retail, so you have to mobilize all these retail to vote with you, because you need 66.6% of all outstanding shares for decisions like that, if the bylaws are anyway close to what we are, and they usually are.
This is Signal. My gosh. Thank you, Alexandra. You guys, this whole panel, my gosh. This is why people need to be watching this show. Cyberbulls. Incredible information shared. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Jeff's point, I think, is like, that was a light bulb for me. It's like, okay, we're going to be literally weeks ahead of the shareholder vote. Alexandra, you made the point that the institutions aren't going to be voting until the day before. So do you think Elon is going to, just like waltz up there, like half depressed, like he sometimes does, and talks about like existential despair and how how the Earth might not even survive the next 10 years? Like, no, he's going to be on his best behavior. Because he wants to make sure that this proposal gets passed. So it is Elon. Like he's going to Elon a little bit, but he's also capable of putting on a suit and tie and buttoning up a little bit. We've seen this with how diplomatic he is when he talks about China, and we've seen this before ahead of some votes where he's going to be on his best behavior. So I think Jeff's point there was spot on, and I agree. Yeah,
and I agree. And I don't know whether you've seen today Ed Ludloff's 2-minute segment, and I know Herbert posted it, on why he thinks these delivery numbers matter today. And he was hammering how they were advertising. And I know exactly what happened here, because Bloomberg TV is obviously for people on the stock exchange, but it's also for other press, because you know how it works. Bloomberg writes an article and then 50 other journals cite this article or the passage. What he signaled in this 2-minute clip was Tesla was paying for advertising. And he signaled this to CNBC, to MSNBC, to all these others, because these are all the friends that are watching him. Of course, didn't you? I was like, oh my God.
Like, there's another brilliant comment there. So Tesla is advertising, but now that they're advertising, then these outlets getting paid for advertising, they're a little bit careful what they say.
Tesla.
A little bit.
We love Tesla now, because maybe there are millions and millions coming one day. Yeah, and they wouldn't know it themselves. They're not going to check on YouTube and whatever. But that here is one of their most reputable brothers saying, oh my God, they opened, I know it from their own source. He said it 3 times. I've spoken to them. I know it from their source that they opened their advertising budgets. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're really underlining it, highlighting it.
Well, I couldn't tell on CNBC today, and I know Boomer Papa probably felt the same. And
they're watching.
Yeah, so we'll see, but I agree with you in general that that could be some additional signal. Probably select outlets too. I think some of these outlets are just reprehensible in just how they present information. But like I said, it's okay to present to me the bear side of everything. I want to hear that, but I want to hear the other side of it too, of it being record deliveries, way ahead of expectations too. It's the other thing is everybody thought this quarter would be good because of this $7,500 credit, but nobody thought it would be 497,000 units good. So yeah, we'll see. We can talk forever about the media coverage of the company, but I think in general, it's just understanding what are those signals out there and just aligning to them.
Yeah, CNBC was outright lying today. Alexandra's husband, Tesla Boober Papa, posted a screenshot, and CNBC was saying that, Tesla 497 deliveries versus whatever number they chose for consensus, 450 something, and that was not the consensus. They made the consensus higher to make it look like that it wasn't a major beat, and it was like a complete lie.
Anything, of course, always. And we haven't had our friend yet. What's her name? I don't remember her. Laura, whatever her name is. Because when she comes out of the woods, Kolodny, then when she comes out of the woods, you know that you get a real smacker.
Matt, sometimes at these earnings calls, you pretend that you're Elon Musk. Can you give us a quick, what Elon say at the earnings call coming up?
Sure. Well, it's been a really long time since I've done this, so it's probably going to be a disaster. Tesla had a record quarter by just about any metric, record energy deployments of 12.5 gigawatt hours. We had record deliveries of 497,000. We are expanding our Robotaxi network in Austin, and really everything we're doing is in preparation for becoming the largest company on earth in terms of market cap. We've got a very exciting future ahead of us, and it is very important that all of you shareholders vote your shares, because if I don't get what I want, I'm out of here.
Sounds realistic.
Okay. Sounds realistic. All right. Okay. Thank you. That was just for a little bit of fun, but let's get back to business here.
Give it a C.
I love how your body language completely adjusts, right? It's you're ready.
Well, it's like,
you're in it.
I think it's like he's thinking, but his brain is like over here, and so his body's like doing something different than what his brain is doing. At least that's how I kind of feel it.
That's so true. When people say to me, "Oh, did you ever speak to Elon?" I said, "I didn't, and I don't know when I ever would." But anyway, I would be so impressed because I have this feeling that this is not only the person in front of you. There's just so much more going on.
Here's a very good question for you, Jeff. Please tell us what you think. But basically, the EV tax credit is officially dead, right? That's no longer available as of September 30th. This Wes, who works at Tesla, right, in charge of the Cybertruck, says this could be the nail in the coffin for hybrids. What do you think, Jeff?
Possibly. A lot of them didn't get the tax credit, so I don't know. It's honestly it's a function of what these car manufacturers produce. It is on a long-term time horizon, it is less efficient to build a hybrid. On a short-term time horizon, it's even more inefficient for them to build an EV because they don't have the recipe, they don't have the cost structure where they need it to be. They have more of the cost structure correct on the ICE portion of the vehicle. They can sell these things for more. So it is a short-term stopgap. I'm not sure the $7,500 credit, we saw the hybrid numbers are increasing globally, by the way. So I'm not sure that is necessarily the nail in the coffin. It's an interesting comment, but it is a short-term stopgap for these companies. It's not a long-term. They have to go EV and they have to figure this out. It's a question of when can they figure it. They've missed multiple generations up to this point.
Okay, we'll expand the question, not just hybrids, but in general, now that the EV credit is out, does that actually mean Tesla's in trouble? Nobody's going to buy Tesla cars anymore? Or does it mean that actually the other EV makers, the other companies are going to be more in trouble, and that is actually an opportunity for Tesla?
Well, you have to look at EVs overall. There could be a slump in overall EV sales, so everybody could get hit. It's a feature value thing. At $35,000 to $40,000, every $1,000 you go down the MSRP curve, the demand goes up significantly. So the question is what is available at those price points? And for those other manufacturers, they do not have a lot of vehicles at that price point available. One, and it's gotten worse with the tariffs because a lot of their sub $40,000 or sub $45,000 vehicles are made in Mexico. Now they've announced new vehicles that they are going to produce in the U.S., but there's a lot of tricks that with these announcements. So you have to be careful. Sometimes they announce vehicles for compliance and they don't supply them at a level, or they try to scale them and they realize they never get the cost structure right, and they basically take the capacity down. So, it's one of those things where, removing the incentive in the US is not a good thing for EVs overall. I don't think we should try to sugarcoat it. It's a question of, are you built for it as an OEM? And Tesla is closer to being built for that based on their local sourcing and the value per dollar for what you get today in their vehicles. And if they introduce a lower cost vehicle, they are more built for this time than others. So yeah, the others may get a little bit more of a hit, but quite frankly, Tesla can write their own destiny based on what they decide to produce at what price points.
All right. Let's get back to energy because we got Matt Smith here. He's an expert in energy. Oh, by the way, quick comment, Matt. You posted something this morning and you said that your brother called you and said that, hey, I want to buy a car and take advantage of the $7,500 EV credit, but it was this morning. We're recording the show on Thursday, so it was the day after.
It was actually Wednesday. It was October 1st at 8:30 in the morning. He called me. I was like, okay. You're 9 hours too late. But yeah, he's like, I just got a call from my brother, saying he wanted my help buying a Tesla. I've driven him around in mine. He was actually amazed by FSD because I was driving him half an hour, and he's like, wait, you're not driving, are you? He had no clue. So he was really impressed, and he drives like 20,000 miles a year. He really needs a good quality car like this. So I basically sold him. He's like, I know we're getting close to the end of the year, so I was hoping you could help me, so I can get that tax credit. And I was like, well, you're 9 hours too late, my friend. So he was looking at used and looking at some other options. But yeah, that was, I think I failed him as a brother.
Okay.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, it made for what's that?
I think the one really sorry is your brother.
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, it made for a great X post, but yeah, I am sorry for my brother.
Okay. Well, I wanted to ask you, Matt, because you're the expert in energy. You worked in that industry before. You follow it very closely. So, in the Q3 production delivery, they also announced that they had deployed 12.5 gigawatt hours of energy. This is their best quarter ever. Here's Sawyer's chart to show this. What was your reaction to this?
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit earlier in the show. It was largely in line with my expectation. I was forecasting 12 gigawatt hours. So, it's nice. I think it's going to continue to improve. And I think like when you look at 2026 and beyond, that's when it's going to start to really make a meaningful impact. But even with where we are, like at, 10 plus gigawatt hours per quarter, you can just bank on that. I mean, that starts to become really meaningful earnings per share kind of adder. And keep in mind, this is at higher margin than the vehicle sales. Tesla Energy has about 30% gross margins. So, the growth in energy is going to outpace the growth in just the regular hardware, vehicle business. And it's going to be at better margins, at least until Robotaxi kind of kicks off. So, this is, I don't think it's quite a sleeper anymore. I mean, I think the Wall Street analysts are actually starting to model it. But this is just a train that's not stopping. And, 10 gigawatt hours, 12 gigawatt hours is great. But keep in mind, Elon has, terawatt hour ambitions for where this is going to go. So we're going to get to, 20, 40, 50, 100 gigawatt hours, per quarter in the coming years. And then eventually we'll be doing, 250 gigawatt hours a quarter to get to a terawatt hour annually, which is just like that kind of blows your mind. I mean, imagine doing that. That's basically 20x of what we just saw right there. So this is going to be a big piece of it. But like the energy side is very real. Like with as much demand is going on for electricity right now with AI, like that is only going to increase and I think accelerate. And there's going to be massive amount of need for batteries to help kind of buffer and manage some of the power swings. Not only of the data centers, but of the grid in general. So I'm very optimistic on the space in the long term. and Tesla's going to be a key beneficiary of that trend.
What's your estimate for Q4 energy?
I'd have to pull it up, but I think it's something like 14 gigawatt hours.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe
It's going to be
15,
higher than
but I don't
12.5.
Yeah, well, because Shanghai's continuing to ramp. So, I mean, I think what we know is Lathrop is more or less at full capacity at 10 gigawatt hours. A little bit of extra for power walls because that's included in that figure too. It's small, but it does get you over that 10 gigawatt hour run rate quarterly. And so, if Shanghai is their steady state is going to be 10 gigawatt hours too. So, maybe if they're 25-30% of the way there, and again, there's going to be that lag of when deployments actually hit. But they're going to be ramping, and so I think the way my model works is just kind of quarter after quarter we're having marginal improvements in quantities.
Good. This is interesting. If there's 14 gigawatt hours in fourth quarter, that could save the margins, save the quarter. Could be big. Okay. Quick fire questions, guys. You ready? I prepared a little bit more this time because you guys kept hammering me for the questions. Maybe this is better. We'll see. Will there be a more affordable Model 3 launched in US, Europe, and China? Because we know that there was one version of it that was about $5,000 cheaper in Mexico.
I think they're generally taking their cogs down of all their vehicles. Will they do something fundamentally different to the model? I would like to see them shrink the size of the hardware so they can shrink the size of the mass of the vehicle and the battery and really start getting at areas of cost besides removing features from the vehicle. So I'd like for them to figure out how to construct the vehicle fundamentally differently. That's what Cybercab ultimately is. But if there's something between that and where we are today, I thought, by the way, that was supposed to be the original plan for the more affordable vehicles, which were to borrow the modules from the upcoming platform that are designed at a lower price point. And that would be the way to basically take the price of the vehicle down, but not change its appearance or its features or functionality. So take the $1,600, I'm estimating, motor out and replace it with a $930 motor. Do that at scale. But I'd like to see them do this, but I'd like to see a lot of the changes be more under the hood and less noticeable to consumers.
Okay, my response is going to be more differentiated. In Europe, I don't think so, because in Europe, sold Model 3s come from China. And China currently is evaluating how much cars can be exported, and you need to get a special license for it and all that. So I would doubt that they're going to use Model 3s from China in that quota that they will be allocated for Europe. I doubt it. Wow. USA, I doubt it too, because they can sell them at the price they currently are. Why would they sell them at a lower price when I think what they really want to do is, in the affordable range, sell the Model Y? And I agree somehow with that. I think that who wants an affordable Model Y? It's families. They don't want a Model 3. They want a Model Y. So I don't think it's really the right diversification of the range. Now, the question is, will there be a more affordable Model 3 in China? And there I actually join Jeff. I think it really depends on whether they launch also the Cybercab in China or not, and whether that is for sale to the public or not. So I'm sorry, I'm not capable to give you clear answers. I think rather no to all three.
You were very clear. That was one of the best answers. Jeff was a great answer, and then Matt said yes.
It said quick questions, so I was trying to be on point here.
No, it's not quick answer, Matt. Do you see the whole difference? It's quick questions because he doesn't ask good questions, so he tries to make it quick.
This is a good question, and the answers were fantastic. Okay, next one. What will Optimus ramp up look like in 2026?
Well, it will look like Optimus. I mean, I can't believe your question. How dumb is this? I mean, what will Optimus ramp look like? Well, it will look like Optimus. What else? Do you want to look at like an elephant or like
no, the ramp up. So how many do you expect in January to the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter? Like how many are we thinking? Like, yeah.
Small
I don't remember
amounts.
all the numbers he gave us. Didn't he give us these crazy numbers?
They're still. I mean, they're in a phase now of they've re-engineered the bot. They know what they want to do, and now they have to make those components. And then they still have a supply chain to make. I don't think people grasp the understanding of that. There may be suppliers that don't exist, or they can't produce the part at scale, or the part needs to fundamentally change how it's designed. Like what we see in the video today, or what's walking around the Palo Alto lab, isn't something that could be fabricated with the process times per part, the yield, and the cost structure and equipment availability to get, to make hundreds and millions of those. So I think 2026 is going to be closer to what 2025 was promised to be, which was get several thousand of these built and get them into Tesla factories, maybe Starlink or SpaceX factories, and get data back and get that. Tesla has this wonderful closed loop that they can have of putting these bots into situations and not having to deal with customers complaining. And then while they're doing that, I'm sure there'll be another cycle of changes they make. Hopefully not needing a full version 4, but they definitely will do a version 4. So people shouldn't be confused. The question is which version is going to go into which stage of production. It's 1 and 2 are not going into a large stage of production. Is it possible that 3 does? Maybe, but they'll definitely work on a 4. And while they're ramping up a 4, they'll be working on a 5. They're going to continue to try to optimize this whole system for cost, for capability. But remember, just in the background of these YouTube videos, there are reliability issues, there are power consumption issues, there are supply chain issues, and of course, there's engineering issues at the head of that. They still need to solve that won't come out in a 3-minute clip. By the way, from any of these vendors.
Yeah, I like what you said. I think you're right. What you said was 2026 was probably going to look like what he initially said 2025 was. And he also said that production lines, just like they're trying to design the bot, they're also designing the production line for the very first time. And so you will first try to do a 1,000 per month run rate, and then eventually you want to do a 10,000 robot per month run rate. And so my guess would be, if they're lucky, halfway through 1,000 per month, and if they're really lucky, by the end of the year they get to the 10,000 per month run rate of the production lines. But that's
Now I got a question. So the current Optimus is obviously the boy, and he always said there will be a girl version. So is it like with Android that the guy is developed and developed and developed and developed, and then at the very end, the second-class citizens, meaning the Android people and the girls, come? Is that how it happens? Do I have to start a DEI politic for getting my girl robots so that I can dress
what's
them?
the difference
By the
between
way,
the boy robot and the girl robot?
I just want to make sure, Herbert, that you understood how many comments we had when I explained last time about getting these robots dressed. Mm-hmm. Right? People completely agreed with me.
Oh yeah, no. Just to be clear, the clothing is going to be a big market. I was laughing at when you referred to the ass and the feet. That's what we were talking about. That's all. Yeah, but the clothing, absolutely agree with you. Yeah, very important.
I will have my bot girl one day.
Was I on that part of the show? I don't remember. Maybe I blocked it out of my memory.
Yeah, you were. But you were diplomatic enough to stay out of it, Jeff. You had this
yeah.
Very
they got to
get
the short answer is they got to get one version of it working well. I've never looked at the plumbing of Optimus. I didn't know it was, one direction or another. Not that I really even care, but yeah, I can understand. I mean, I think, yeah, hopefully you can dress up the current version.
Jeff wants multiple genders. You want to?
No,
I'm just. Come out?
I mean, I think you can dress them however you want to dress them. I think there are some interesting things that need to be worked through, like if they're going to wear a utility belt in the factory and have access to tools. But I see where you're going with it. I'm not sure. I haven't thought through that material enough to come back with something witty. But I think once they get the original Optimus going, they'll be able to do variants of it more quickly because they're going to solve these fundamental underlying issues with the actuators, with the rotors, with the machining times, and with all these things. And once they do that, you'll see there'll be these offshoots, I think. By the way, Android smartphone was basically out in parallel with iOS, and if you look at the numbers per year, I know your point is all the apps are coming out for iOS first and then Android, but in terms of volume, Android is about 80% of global shipments. Yeah. So there's a home for them.
You guys, you both actually already brought up the next question, which is very similar, which is when might a different bot form factor be announced? So clearly the focus is on the humanoid form factor. That is the top priority. That is what they're shooting for. Many of the Tesla employees have in the past referred to bot animals. You've heard Elon continuously refer to both a C-3PO, but also R2-D2s. And I think you're right. I mean, they'll have to first perfect the humanoid form factor before they might do the second version of some sort of different bot form factor, right? What's your best guess of when it might show up? 2029, 30?
Yeah, so I'll just jump in first on Alexandra's point on the last one. I think to know if it's male or female, you have to see it charging. So I don't think we have any information on that yet. But getting to this one, like I think when you have to have a lot of use cases of how the bot actually works and what are the limitations of the current form factor. We can kind of make educated guesses at that right now, but I think you really need to have it be in action with like the production level software where it's actually doing stuff and see, okay, what are the types of jobs that it's struggling with, with this current form factor. And I think from there, you'd be able to identify other form factors that, would serve other cases a little bit more easily. I mean, there are some somewhat obvious ones like the dog form factor, and there's like a wheeled version of it for a couple different use cases you could easily imagine. But to me, it makes sense. Like the bigger TAM is going to be the humanoid. And then from there, I think it's like, okay, well, how can we make the performance even better or more energy efficient or, lower cost per, hour of work being done? There will just be some lower value work or some other types of jobs that need a different form factor. One that kind of comes to mind that could be very impactful and good for humanity would be some sort of like crop picking bot. Like maybe a humanoid form factor is not the best. In fact, I'd wager to bet that it's almost certainly not. You'd want something that's probably lower to the ground with a few more legs and maybe multiple hands. I think there will be these other use cases, but it might take some time to develop them. And I think they'll be in more niche applications as opposed to the more generalized humanoid form factor.
So you're saying Alexandra's girl bot is not a priority?
I think you can do a lot with clothing, like you said, Alexandra.
That's what he said. I know. I'm hurt.
I'm worried about how the men are going to use the lady bot, if I'm honest with you.
Oh boy. That's where this.
You can cut that out. You can cut that out. Cut that out.
No.
I'll leave it in.
I legitimately I'm legitimately not.
Matt had to go there.
When he talks about fembots, I'm not into it. I just think it's not good for humanity, honestly.
Herbert?
Okay.
See how Herbert
Stop being so proper, Herbert. We know what you're like.
Okay, well, I will let you guys know that I am going on vacation. I'll be leaving on Tuesday. I'll be back on October 22nd. So during that time, we're going to have Larry host the regular show, CERN host the following week, but we'll have Alexandra host the Cyber Bowl shows. One will be a live stream with Jeff.
We have the keys.
You guys can run the show the way you want to. You can say whatever you
want. My Herbert
want.
mask has come in yet. I ordered a Herbert mask. I wonder if it's come in yet. I have to look.
You don't need to do that. Just make the show better. You don't want to have my mask on. Just be you, obviously. So, but you guys, amazing. This was a top tier show today. I learned so much, and I asked a lot of people a lot of good questions, and you guys gave me some thoughts here. And I hope that Tesla investors watch the show multiple times. Listen to what these guys have said. Appreciate it. And especially that one answer from Matt when he said, yes. That was a great answer.
That's why you guys bring me on for these unique insights.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
That's the best.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.